everyone, it's canning day number 2. I'm hoping to get everything done today. We'll see. It's a lot of work. But right now I am canning tomatoes I'm canning tomato sauce. I have the tomatoes here. I've been cutting them up. Of course, I'm getting my water bath water boiled. You got to do that. It takes a while. So then what you do is you just let this simmer, and you kind of just let it, you let all the juices come out of the tomatoes. Basically, you're kind of just letting it simmer out. So that's basically what we're doing right now. This is as full as I can get this. So after this, what you need to do is take all the tomatoes and then strain them. And then you're gonna take the pulp and put it back in the pot and then boil it some more. And then, you cook it and you add your spices and all that. And then you'll put them in cans with some citric acid. Bada boom, bada bing. So this is how much I got from that very first batch that I showed you that was reducing. That's it. It was hardly anything. I am guessing this is probably gonna, I'm guessing that this whole box will fill 1 quart with all the reduction and everything. So yeah, I'll probably get 1 quart out of this whole thing, which is fine, but it's a lot of work for just 1 quart. So I have decided to freeze the rest of the tomatoes. So what I can do with frozen tomatoes is I can actually make them into soups and stews and things like that. Like a frozen tomato isn't going to be the same as like a fresh tomato. But with the frozen tomatoes, I can actually make tomato sauce from the frozen tomatoes. They're not going to be like hard and, like a fresh tomato, but they can be made into tomato sauce. And I can whip that up, just take some out of the freezer, whip it up into a batch and be good like that. So I think that's what I'm going to do. We actually have quite a bit of, spaghetti and tomato sauce usage around here. So, they could be used for a lot of different purposes. They just come out a little mushy once they're thawed. So it's just, something to keep in mind. All right, so now after you got all your juices, you want to reduce it by half for a thicker sauce or by a third if you want a real thin sauce. And that is why I'm freezing the rest, so that I could just make tomato sauce just on the fly. I mean, it's a lot of work. I think if I had bigger tomatoes, it wouldn't feel like so much work, but it's the little tomatoes, so I'm having to cut every single one of the tomatoes, and it's just And plus I'm working in a much smaller space with smaller pots. If I had bigger pots, I'd be able to simmer like it all at the same time. It's a whole thing. So I'm just gonna work with what I got right now and just kind of move forward. The last thing I gotta do is apples, and I have to can the apples. They'll taste way better if they're canned. They're not, frozen apples aren't good. Dehydrated apples are good, but I don't have my solar dehydrator up yet. So technically you're supposed to pressure can any tomatoes, but I saw a ton of recipes that said you can water bath can tomato sauce, so here's hoping it works. All right, so now we move on to apples. I originally had 6 bags of apples to do, but 3 whole bags of apples were bad. They were crushed and molding and stuff like that. So these 3 look okay. There's like 1 or 2 in here that may be bad, but I don't know. This may give me a quart or 2, not very many. So unfortunately that's what it is, but I'd rather can the apples or dehydrate if I can get my solar dehydrator, but I don't think they're gonna last until I get my solar dehydrator up. So we're gonna can them. So what I do is I cut the top and bottom off of the apple, and then I cut them into fourths, and then I core them each side, and then there you go. All right, so just like the pears, the apples go in a citric acid juice to keep them from browning. So it's just citric acid, just the citric acid in water, and then you just place the apples in them and it prevents them from browning. That's it. Now I'm getting the sugar water boiled, the syrup. Woo! I just heard the pop of this. So yeah, it canned. Right on, right on. This is my first ever jar of sauce. I think it's a little too thin, but we'll see how it looks when it cools down. But yeah, I'm really stoked to try it later. I feel very productive. I'm very happy with how these have turned out. I'm gonna go ahead and freeze the rest of the tomatoes, and whenever I want to make, you know, homemade sauce out of it, I can, or just cook with it. That's what freezer tomatoes are really good for. And we have plenty of freezer space right now, so, you know, it won't take up that much. I'll just, you know, you got to use the stuff from the freezer eventually anyway, right? All right, anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys have had a really great 4th of July weekend. I hope you've stayed safe and had some fun and celebrated our independence, or just had a great weekend. I'll talk to y'all later. Conquer tomorrow, but preparing today. Talk to y'all later. Bye.